Alright, I'm sure there's been more videos about this. I'm sure there's been more reviews uploaded. But I felt like reviewing this game. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. I was really excited to hear the announcement of them releasing a second one because the first one was just a total classic. And this is based on the Civil War, which was an enjoyable story. And the character selection was great because the last one they didn't have Venom, Hulk. They didn't have Venom and Hulk, which is really disappointing. I mean, I can understand why Venom's not in it, but Hulk is a major character, so that didn't make any sense. But they did put them in here. Green Goblin is in here. So many more people are in here, and I was really excited to hear about this, and it looked awesome. At the time, those were the best graphics. Of course, they've advanced more. But now that I went back and replayed it, I found a couple flaws with the gameplay, which I am going to talk about now. The gameplay was actually kind of a setback because you really find yourself pressing the same buttons over and over. And that's kind of the same thing with the last one, but you get more attacks and stuff, and it's just better. The gameplay on here, as far as attacks go, is really kind of an upset because you're always pressing the same buttons, and you really don't have much to choose from. Now, granted, you have so many characters combined that does give you lots of combos to choose from switching back and forth to guys. One thing that was really great, and I have in this game too, is you can do partner attacks. You can do charge attacks when you hold LT and RT. So that was good. But as far as mainstream goes, just like I'm always pressing the A button on Xbox. Is it A? I don't know. I always think it's A, but I'm always pressing the same button. A good thing, you get to choke people and throw them and beat them up while you're choking them. That's cool though. So at least you got that. Like I said, you get the option to have charge attacks with RT, at least on Xbox, I think. And just all together, when you put all the combos together, that's a lot. Now, the gameplay itself, when you're going through levels, is pretty hard and kind of frustrating because oftentimes I'll find myself strolling through the game, and I've already beat this, so I'll find myself strolling through the game, and I have no idea where to go after I just finished an objective. Like, the doorways and the passageways to go to the next section is like in the spot you'd never think to look. It's completely random and just appears. And I sometimes get bored with it and just turn it off. I mean, yeah. It just appears out of nowhere. It's really small and it blends in with the background. So that I really keep on playing the same mission forever, especially in the first level because the backgrounds can get very repetitive. It's a science laboratory and you can't tell. And sometimes there's like multiple doorways and one leads to the other where you're supposed to go next and the other just leads to a bunch of walls. And it's really kind of annoying. But when you progress in the game, the stages get absolutely phenomenal. You get to go to Black Panther's place, which I forget, but I can't remember off the top of my head. You get to fight awesome bosses. There's so many more bosses than they even advertised. Electro shows up. Shocker shows up. Venom shows up. If you're on... and another cool thing is there's pending bosses. There's pending bosses. So, like, if you're on Iron Man's team, you can get to one point where you fight Giant Man, or Yellow Jacket, I think. And if you're on Cap's team, you can fight Goliath. And that's depending on which side. Now, I might have got those two giants reversed, but oh well. But yes, that is a very good feature because the game is based on the Civil War, and that was very well done. Yeah, so the gameplay, maybe half because the combo moves just aren't enough with the characters themselves. Like if you're not doing a charge attack, you really do press the same buttons over and over. It's really hard to find where you go next, and the backgrounds sometimes get very repetitive. So it's not the worst gameplay ever, I'll tell you that. But it's not the best, and it's certainly not great. But it's very enjoyable and a very fun game to play. And I do respect the fact that it's a game that acquires thinking and looking, because that's pretty fun. So the gameplay's not the worst, it's not the best. I'd probably give it like 5 out of 10 or something like that. Maybe 6. But I'm not trying to give it 5 bad stars, but 5 good stars. You know, it's just kind of hard. Alright, character selections, just characters and costumes. The character selection was very well done. They've got Venom, which was awesome, because you could only get him as a DLC or the Gold Edition, which really sucked. Like, I was so disappointed. And Green Goblin's in the game. How cool is that? The Green Goblin. Like, they didn't even need to put him in there. Deadpool reappears, which I've always liked him. You know, and another cool thing, like I was talking about earlier with the gameplay, depending on which side you are during the game, it also depends on which characters you can have. Like, you can really... One major flaw during a majority of the game, like in the middle of the game, it's all about the Civil War. At the end, it's not about the Civil War, which I will go into next. But for a majority of the game in the middle, when it's really focusing on the main thing, you can barely play as Cap and Iron Man, which I can understand because they're fighting and stuff, but it's really kind of disappointing because they're both really good characters. Costume selection. Decent. It was decent. You only got one, which I don't understand why. I guess that just wasn't a major concern with this game. But in the last one, you got 3 alternate plus your regular. So, and I think they could have done a little better. Like, Spider-Man has Iron Spider, which is definitely not my favorite suit. But then again, I can understand why it's in there, you know, because it's the Civil War. I don't understand why Wolverine has his ultimate suit. That didn't make any sense. Hobgoblin is an alternate suit for Green Goblin, which is cool, but you can tell it's like half. But it's cool, because it's basically giving you 2 characters in one, because you can have Green Goblin or Hobgoblin. And Venom had the Eddie Brock symbiote suit. Very glad to see. Very glad. And it had some DLC characters, including Carnage, who had his ultimate Carnage suit. Which is... Like, when I saw that, I screamed. But I haven't been able to download him with the DLC yet. So, those are the characters. Let's go on to story next. The story was based on the Civil War, which was a storyline in the comic books. Didn't follow that completely accurate, actually. The beginning leading up to the Civil War and the cause of the Civil War was very accurate, but the end completely destroyed the Civil War and moved on to a new mini story. And they introduced a very lame character, which I will get to in a second. But Captain America doesn't die, which that's what happened in the Civil War. It then just leads into both of them combining, which it really doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why they had to do that. It should be based on the Civil War the whole entire game. Now, if it was, the replay value would be not as well, because you couldn't play as the two characters, Cap and Iron Man, and you couldn't play at the end as Cap because he'd be dead. So, there's one thing. Now, the replay value itself is absolutely not good. Because you only get a limited selection of levels at a level select thing. And, you can't even play in the middle of the game with the Civil War, only at the beginning and end, which is extremely disappointing. What else? Yes, the lame character I was talking about. They got freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nick Fury here. He looks like a Terminator, and that was so disappointing. He's like one of the lamest characters ever. Besides Stiltman, Frogman, and Rocket Raccoon, and Squirrel Girl. But, seriously, why would they introduce him? He's a Terminator Nick Fury. That's really kind of cool in one way, but when you see him in the game, he's lame. On top of that, he has the powers of all the other villains, which makes it hard. Super hard. And frustrating and annoying. I did not like they put him in the game. And you can play as him, but he has no alternate costumes. You just get to play as this lame robotic Nick Bot Fury. It was so lame. I didn't like that. The replay value doesn't really have any value unless you just want to play the game, because you can't even beat the game again without restarting it. Yeah, so that's that. Let's go on to voice acting next. Voice acting, was fairly done. The person I don't like in particular is Spider-Man's voice in this game. I'll get to that in a minute. But mostly the characters were very enthusiastic. Wolverine was great. Sarcastic when they needed to be. Serious when they needed to be. Loud when they needed to be. It was very enthusiastic. It was well done. But I don't think any voice acting can be edge of time. So yeah, it was well done. The characters lived up to the role, the voice acting. Spider-Man just completely sucked. In the last one, he was so good. He was that 20-year-old grown-up Spidey with the sarcasm, the funny gestures in his voice. Now he's back to the whiny 16-year-old who sounds like he's always cracking. So, yeah, completely annoying. His voice is always like, oh. It's really sad because he's one of the best characters of all time to me. So, I was really disappointed to see that. The guy in the last MUA was phenomenal. He was very good. So, I don't understand why they had to set him back 4 or 6 years to the 16-year-old again. Not very good. I don't like Spider-Man's voice. I really don't. Venom's voice was also disappointing because whenever he talks, he has an echo. He doesn't even sound like he is Venom. He sounds like his voice is being put through a synthesizer or something. And I understand it's Matt Gargan, but I still think he'd have the rough voice. Not I don't even know if that's possible. Spectacular Spider-Man and Spider-Man 3 did this with Venom, where he has 8 voices when he talks, which I really don't like. I don't like that at all, and that's what they did here, except he sounds like a robot. Not acting-wise, but literally when he talks. So yeah, that's the voice acting of the game. So, above all, it's a fairly decent game. Maybe 7.5, anywhere from 7 to 7.5, possibly 8, because I've always loved this game. But I replayed it, so I found all these flaws. Most likely 7.5, 7.8 out of 10. Gameplay, some voice acting, just not very well done. And the story itself and freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger Fury was annoying. So, overall, if you're a Marvel fan, pick this game up. I wouldn't recommend buying it at full price, though. It doesn't really have any replay value to it. So, and if you like the first one, you should at least try this one. See what you think about it. If you like video games, just pick it up if you want. If you like replay value, don't get this one. If you don't like the Terminator, don't get this one either. So overall, it's fairly decent. 7.8 out of 10 is mine. If you like Marvel, you can get it. And if you want replay value, this is not your game. Yeah, so that is MUA2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, reviewed for me on Xbox. And I will see you guys next time.